Coming to you from the Lydia Media Studios in the heart of Lewiston, Auburn, it's Lydia's Lunch Bunch, LA's afternoon morning show with Mark, Sarah, and Pam. We're covering news and events in the greater LA area and talking to the people making a difference in our community. Give us a listen at lydiamediallc.com or wherever you get your podcasts. And feel free to share your comments, questions, or suggestions via email at podcast@lydiamediallc.com.
Today's show is brought to you by United Piping, serving residential and commercial customers with new installations and repairs. Call today and schedule your oil and gas boiler cleanings at 754-4556. UPI,
the best plumbers around.
Also brought to you by Ruper's Beverage and Redemption. When it comes to beer, wine, and spirits, don't botch it, squatch it. At 5 locations in Lewiston, Auburn, and Oxford. Learn more at rupersbeverage.com. And remember, the party starts at Ruper's.
We have the pleasure of being joined in studio today by the owner of Barclay's Skindivers Paradise. He's also a former cover model on LA Metro Magazine. Ian Barclay, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Welcome. Good morning.
How are you?
Right at it. Good.
All right. Good. Good deal.
Is this early for you, or is this typical?
No, I come from a family of insomniacs.
Yeah. Oh, okay, yeah.
All right. Yeah, you fit right in. We're going to talk to Ian all about skin diving and a whole lot more coming up here in just a bit. But before we get there, let's take a look at some headlines for Monday, March the 10th.
A new bill in the Maine legislature would prevent anyone under the age of 16 from opening a social media account. The bill aims to protect the mental health of children by reducing exposure to online predators, preventing cyberbullying or peer pressure, and limiting harmful content.
Lewiston's incoming city administrator, Brian Cainrath, will host 3 meet and greets as he prepares to begin work in Maine's second largest city in May. The events are scheduled for March 27th at the Chickadee Restaurant, April 29th at Community Credit Union, and April 30th at Tree Street Youth. For more information, visit lewistonmaine.gov.
Former Maine Senate President Troy Jackson is considering a run for governor next year to replace the term-limited Janet Mills. Jackson has long been considered a worthy gubernatorial candidate and has launched an exploratory committee.
How cool is the word gubernatorial?
Gubernatorial. Even at 7 a.m., it's still pretty cool.
I would have had to practice that.
Gubernatorial.
And ticket sales for Saturday night's comedy benefit for Phoenix No Limits Karate raised $2,340 for its Black Belts Against Domestic Violence program.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm glad 100% of Lydia's Lunch Bunch performed that night.
Yeah.
100%. Oh.
We were there.
Yeah, you might want to tell Nick that Pam's on the show, too.
50% of Lydia's Lunch Bunch now performing, and then the other 50%. I'm like,
no.
Oh,
See, what I thought was she counted as 50%, and you and I each got 25.
gotcha.
That's okay. At least he remembered the name of it this time. The last time he introduced me at a comedy show, it was Lydia's Breakfast Bunch. It's like, we live together. How do you not know the name of my
He'll
podcast?
get it right one of these days.
There's a reason why he wears a helmet to one of his jobs.
Want to talk about the weather?
A dusting of snow today with a high of 45 and a low of 26. A mixture of sun and clouds tomorrow with a high of 53 and a low of 29. Partly sunny on Wednesday with highs in the 40s.
Getting there. The days are longer, right? The sun will not set before 7 p.m. until, November from here on out.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
I'm here for it.
In sports, the Celtics will host the Utah Jazz tonight at 7:30.
The New Look Bruins will host the Florida Panthers tomorrow night.
Who even plays for the Bruins anymore?
Oh, come on.
Just my boyfriend, Jeremy Swayman.
It's a new era, Sarah. You got to embrace
fine.
it, you know?
Yeah. The Maine Nordiques split a pair of games with the New Jersey Titans and are 1 point out of second place with 6 regular season games remaining. The Nords face off against the Mountain Kings in New Hampshire on Friday night.
And the NA3 Nordiques ended their season with back-to-back losses to the Binghamton Buzz over the weekend. The NA3 Nords finished the season in 6th place in the East Division with a 17-29-1 record.
That's not bad, right?
Not bad.
First season
back. That's your news, weather, and sports. And right now it is time for the podcast segment that is Sweeping! And we mean it today, Pam.
Woo!
It is sweeping the Twin Cities.
All right, let's go.
Time for famous people birthdays.
They're famous. It's their birthdays. It's famous people birthdays. It's famous people birthdays.
Let's take a look at FPBs for March the 10th, shall we?
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Let's start off with Carrie Underwood, 42 years old today.
Yeah, she's done well.
She has. She won the 4th season of American Idol and then went on to superstardom. John Hamm of Mad Men is 54 years old today.
I just love him.
He played Don Draper in Mad Men from 2007 to 2015. Edie Brickell of Edie Brickell and the New Bohemians is 59 years old today. Remember that song, What I Am?
What I am is what I am.
That's the one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
And Ian, she is married to
Paul Simon.
of Simon and Garfunkel.
That's right.
Which one is he?
And I want to clear up the confusion. He is actually the Simon in
Yes.
Simon and Garfunkel.
Yeah.
Good to
know.
Music producer Rick Rubin is 62 years old today.
Rick Rubin started that record label. What was it Def Jam? Is that
It
him?
is Def Jam. You are
He
correct.
started that in his college dorm.
Wow.
Wow.
So the address, literally, as he was working with artists, was his college, whatever
Oh, man.
dormitory that
Yeah.
was.
That's
you know.
funny.
He has worked with everyone from the Beastie Boys to Johnny Cash.
Wow.
And everyone in between.
That's awesome.
Yes, he's a legend. He was named one of the 100 most influential people in the world.
Wow.
By Time magazine. Magician Lance Burton is 65 years old today. He's performed over 15,000 shows in Las Vegas for over 5 million people.
That's a lot of shows.
Yep. Then he retired in 2010, and now he's a judge on Chris Angel's Magic with the Stars, which I've never heard of that show.
Me
No, I
But
haven't
anyway,
either.
actor Sharon Stone, 67 today.
You know what? It's like a little known and terrible movie was The Quick and the Dead. I liked that one.
All right.
It was all about it was a Western all about a bunch of ladies that were quick draw.
Bad Mama Jamas.
Batman pajamas. Yeah. That was a terrible movie.
All right.
That was probably my favorite movie that she was in.
TV personality and businesswoman Barbara Corcoran of Shark Tank is 76 years old today. Made all her money in real estate. And I'll tell you what, I watched a bunch of Shark Tank, and if I was going to partner with any one of those sharks, it'd probably be Barbara.
Yeah.
She's pretty smart.
She seems like she's got her together. Guitar
No.
Guitarist Tom Scholz of Boston is 78 years old today. Remember that album when that Boston album came out?
When you finally realize, when you flipped the album, you realize it was a guitar.
Yeah,
The
with a
spaceship-
city inside.
The spaceship was a guitar. It's like, oh my God, dude!
Mind is blown.
Dude, if you hold it up by the strobe light and the
Those were the days, right?
Would you expect any less from an MIT trained engineer?
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah. And rounding out FPBs for March the 10th is American martial arts instructor, actor, black belt, and total gym salesman, Chuck Norris.
And legend.
Walker, Texas Ranger.
Yes, Walker, Texas Ranger. Chuck Norris is 85 years old
He
today.
also sells a whole line of dog food supplements.
What? He does?
Really? Oh, yeah.
that.
He has got those long infomercials on YouTube that are 20 minutes long and tell you all
Skip
about.
'em?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did we not know that?
You have to
Being
wait 40
I
seconds.
know
to
we're
get the Skype
dog
open.
people. How do we not know that? Huh.
Well, I
Yeah.
like Chuck Norris even more.
You do. Just a little bit more.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah, Chuck was in a movie with Bruce Lee in 1972 called The Way of the Dragon, where they fought in the Colosseum in Rome, which was pretty sweet. And Chuck's. Some people may not know this, but Chuck is a very hairy man. And Bruce Lee, in one of the scenes, he reaches out, grabs a handful of Chuck's chest hair, and rips it out.
Oh my gosh.
I'm not sure if that's a legit karate move, but hey,
Yeah.
it was effective.
Did you know that Chuck Norris can slam a revolving door?
I did know that. Did you know that Chuck Norris built the hospital he was born in?
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Did you know that Chuck Norris knows Victoria's Secret?
He does? Damn.
I know.
Did you know that the flu has to get Chuck Norris shots every year?
I did know that.
Yeah. That's a whole thing.
Yeah. Did you know that when Chuck Norris turned 18, his parents moved out?
Stop. These are amazing facts. Did you know that Chuck Norris counted to infinity twice?
I did know that.
Yeah. Oh, you did? Okay.
Yep.
That was on the news.
Yeah, I saw that. Did you know the Dead Sea was alive before Chuck Norris swam in?
Oh, my goodness. Did you know that Chuck Norris uses ribbed condoms inside out so he gets the pleasure?
Did you know that when Chuck Norris slices onions, the onions cry?
Oh, man. That is crazy.
What it would be to be Chuck Norris.
Did you know that Death once had a near Chuck Norris experience?
No.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a whole thing.
Did you know that when the boogeyman goes to sleep at night, he checks his closet for Chuck Norris?
What do you think, Pam?
They could go on and on, folks.
You got a whole spreadsheet in there?
Yeah, kind of. Don't give away our
No,
secrets.
this is right off the
There's a
top
lot
of their
of 'em.
heads. They're just, yeah.
Did you know that Chuck Norris does not fill out online forms because he refuses to submit?
Did you know that Chuck Norris can strangle you with a cordless phone?
Oh, my God. That seems legit. Did you know that Chuck Norris can hear sign
Oh my
language?
gosh. Did you know he can speak Braille?
Damn. Did you know that Chuck Norris is the reason Waldo is hiding?
Did you know that Chuck Norris has never blinked in his entire life?
Damn.
Never.
Wow.
How does he sleep?
He doesn't.
He doesn't. He waits.
He waits. That's right.
Those are your FPBs for March the 10th. Pam, this was a good one.
It was
You gotta
amazing.
admit. It was
The
amazing.
best ever.
Yeah, okay.
It even beat Dr. Dre.
Wow!
Oh, wow.
March 10th gets the Pam seal of approval.
All right.
Love it. All right, now we're gonna do on this day. 1 year ago on this day in 2024, Godzilla Minus One won the Oscar for Best Visual Effects at the 96th Academy Awards. This is hard to believe. It was the first Godzilla film to ever win an Academy Award. 22 years ago in 2003, AC/DC, The Police, The Clash, Elvis Costello and the Attractions, and the Righteous Brothers were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, which makes perfect sense because when I think of rock and roll, give me some Righteous Brothers. Yeah. Not Social Distortion or Iron Maiden, Rob Zombie, forget that. Give me some Righteous Brothers. 145 years ago, I'm a little bitter.
We couldn't tell.
In 1880, the Salvation Army arrived in the U.S. after being created in England. 149 years ago, in 1876, Alexander Graham Bell transmitted the first telephone message to his assistant in the next room, and that message was, "Mr. Watson, come here, I want you." Okay.
Okay. What was going on there?
Yeah, well, they claim that Bell was in a panic because he had just spilled acid on his clothes, which explains why, when Watson came into the room, Bell had no pants on.
Oh, okay. That's
Yeah.
why. Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't because of anything else.
Yeah, nothing wrong. Not that there's anything wrong with it.
No, not at all. And finally, 176 years ago, in 1849, an Illinois attorney filed a patent for an inflatable airbag to lift grounded boats off of sandbars. However, the inventor, one Abraham Lincoln, was too busy pursuing politics, and the invention never developed.
Sarah's favorite.
Sarah's favorite,
I love him.
Abraham Lincoln,
Harriet
Tubman,
Tubman.
Jennifer
Jennifer
Lopez.
Lopez.
That's right.
I hope it never dies. Those are your FPBs and OTDs for March the 10th.
Whether you want a sit-down meal or a grab-and-go, Pat's Pizza in Auburn offers delicious sandwiches, pasta, salads, and pizza at family-friendly prices. Pat's Pizza, serving the L.A. area since 1985. Open daily from 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. at 85 Center Street in Auburn. Online at patsauburn.com.
You're invited to join Seniors Plus for their annual Fill the Plate breakfast on Friday, March 21st at the Hilton Garden Inn Riverwatch in Auburn. The event will benefit the Seniors Plus Meals on Wheels program and feature American Idol finalist Julia Gagnon and former Maine legislator Margaret Craven. Reserve your spot today at seniorsplus.org. Now we shift focus fully to our guest in studio, owner of Barclay's Skindivers Paradise and former cover model for LA Metro Magazine, Ian Barclay.
Thank you.
Ian, let's get to the magazine first.
Well, let's see. I don't know who reached out to me originally, but somebody said, "Yeah, we think we want to do a story on you," and I'm like, "Okay." And then COVID hit.
Yeah.
And so your photographer at the time, was it Brewster?
Yeah,
right?
Brewster Bird.
he came out to my house because it was COVID and it was right in the early stages of quarantine where you really couldn't go anywhere. Literally, that cover photo is in the workshop, and if you look in the background, you see my piano in the background a little bit, and then you see like a chop saw and a skill saw and a table saw and all this junk everywhere because my brother's got tools everywhere in the workshop. So that was the cover photo there.
He's sporting a kilt.
Sporting a kilt, yeah. That's my family tartan. That's my family actually has two tartans. We have our dress tartan, which is Boston Bruin colors. So
Nice.
it's yellow and black, which we look like a bumblebee. So, yeah. And then we have our what they call the hunting tartan, which was a little less obvious to the deer, so it's easier to go hunting deer if you had this tartan on. So that was the one they wore when they hunted. And my father had the same kilt, and now my son has my father's kilt. So we all have the same. We all have the same outfit.
That's
and
cool.
Actually, at his wedding, me, my son, and he was 3 at the time. No, he was 2 at the time. He had a kilt. Rowan had the same kilt too. So a 2-year-old with the same pattern.
I love it.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Barclay's Skindivers Paradise.
Yes.
How did that start?
Skindivers Paradise was started in 1959 by Don Bernard, and if you remember, up on Route 4, just beyond the lake, there was that yellow submarine. That was Don Bernard. He started Skindivers Paradise as a scuba diving school when he got out of the Navy, because he was one of the original Navy frogmen, and the word scuba wasn't recognized as a word until 1961. So in 1959, it was called Skindivers Paradise, and because that's what they called it back then. Cousteau and those guys had developed this aqualung, this thing to wear on your back that you could be underwater with, towards the end of World War II. This was just a natural progression of things, but the acronym, Self-Contained Underwater Breathing Apparatus, SCUBA, wasn't recognized as a regular word until 1961 by Webster's Dictionary. Mm-hmm. So that's where the name Skindivers comes from. And of course, what that does for me at this point is it makes these young kids come in and think they're going to get a tattoo or a piercing. It's like, no, you need to go down the road for this. That's not what we do here. But when my brothers took over the place in 2003, we didn't want to change the name because it had 43 years of history, 44 years of history. So we said, okay, let's just put our name in front of it and go. So, and yeah, I'm an owner along with my brothers, the whole family.
So what are folks coming to visit you for?
Well, we teach scuba diving. We're a scuba diving school. And scuba diving is a certified activity. When Cousteau and those guys first invented scuba back in the early 50s, they started renting equipment in sporting goods stores in Southern California. In fact, Voight, the volleyball company, was the original manufacturer of most of this aqualung stuff. And they were renting this stuff out, and people would come and rent it and then wouldn't come back.
Oh, no.
They didn't know what they were doing because there's more than just throwing something on your back and jumping underwater.
Sure.
And people died. So the governments internationally decided that this needs to be a certified sport internationally, and that the governments didn't want to get into the regulation of it, which I don't know why. They like to get into regulation of everything else. But but they didn't want to get into the regulation of this. So they basically designed it so anyone who wants to become a diver needs to become certified. You need to get that driver's license to be underwater so that you're safe to yourself, to other divers, and to the environment. And that's what that's about. And we teach that stuff, and we do it. We love what we do.
Yeah.
It's just a thrill. I mean, I had people last night in the pool for the first time ever underwater, and you just see the look in their eyes, and they light up and saying, "Oh yeah, there's a fish right there. Hooked another fish." But so yeah, we're a scuba diving school. We teach 12 months of the year here in Maine. Most of the winter, it's in the pool, and then either off to a beautiful, warm, tropical location, or we're just getting them ready for the springtime, either or. And right now we're scheduled to leave with a batch of people on Saturday morning for Bonaire, which is in the Dutch Antilles, just about 75 miles off the coast of Venezuela.
Wow.
And it's a very beautiful island that's pretty well kept secret. You know, it's quiet.
Not anymore.
That's awesome.
So where's the pool where you trained these?
YW, we're in cahoots with the YW over on East Avenue.
Gotcha.
And we've been with them for 20 some odd years, and it's a good relationship, you know.
Yeah.
And we have a good time there. And like I say, we were in this class last night, in the pool last night, with students and new students and people graduating from their academics. There's 3 segments to a certification. There's your academic segment where you're learning a textbook and all the technical stuff. And then there's the skills where you're in the pool learning the physical skills, because being weightless underwater doesn't come natural to most anybody, you know. So we have to teach you all about that and all the safety skills and all that. And then the final segment is what we call the checkout dives, or open water checkout, and that is when we go out in the wild and do it for real. Whether that's in a lake, ocean, Southern Caribbean, or freezing cold water here in Maine, that's what we do.
Wow.
Yeah.
And how long does that process take?
The classes the academic segment is a 4-week process, which is once a week for 4 weeks. You're going to end up logging about 10 hours of classroom, about 6 hours of pool, and about 6 hours of open water time. That's how it ends up. And then you're certified for life. You get a nice little card that says, I can drive underwater. And that doesn't expire. People are encouraged that if you haven't been in the water in 20 years, go see an instructor and just get a refresher. You kick the tires and get back on, you know. That's a great process. We're pretty thorough about how we teach too.
Yeah.
There is some kids out there that they're like, well, why can't I just take all this online? Can't I just learn all this online? It's like, no. Do you know how to neutralize your buoyancy underwater online? No. Okay. Can you clear the water out of your mask without coming to the surface online? No. Okay. It's those physical skills that have to be done in the water, taught in the water, drilled in the water, and mastered in the water.
Yeah.
There's no way around that.
Yeah.
There's no hack.
At what point in your life did you know this was going to be a career?
Oh, well, yeah. So my brothers had this, Don Bernard was going to sell the place, and my brothers had this great idea, hey, we'll buy the place. And having run music stores and other things around Central Maine, I was like, okay, you realize it's a commitment here. It's not just about, fun. And, of course, my brothers all being, independently wealthy type of guys, they're like, yeah, it's a piece of cake. I'm like, a little harder than you think. So basically around 2007, I realized, okay, we own this place now. Somebody's going to take the reins and be the focal point. So that's what I moved in to do, is be the guy that's in the shop day in and day out, answering the phones day in, day out. We have, my brothers all pitch in different ways. My brother Tim runs the SCUBA classes and does a lot of that side of thing, and he handles all the travel. He deals with the airlines.
Yeah.
Not me. Not me. Our retail shop is at 805 Main Street in Lewiston, right up there beyond Martin's. This is a time of year, particularly people are fed up with cold.
Yeah.
And I've had numerous people last week coming in going, I've had it, I'm going to the Caribbean, I need a mask and snorkel. And we have lots of merchandise on hand to sell them to go play go see the fishies down in Cozumel or wherever they're headed, snorkeling. And we do have a full line of snorkel gear as well as scuba gear, and most of it's interchangeable. But yeah.
What do you find is the biggest thing people need to overcome when they're learning how to
yes. Well, so most of it's in their head.
Yeah.
Most of it is most of it is preconceptions and things in their head. We deal with this on a regular basis.
I bet.
And it is a deal breaker for some people. Mm-hmm. And what happens is they've got all these things they're worried about before they get underwater. They've heard things, or I don't know if I can do this. And we have a program called Discover Scuba, and that's open to anyone 10 years or older. And they come in, and we simply let them try it, okay? And we try it in 3 feet of water. So if you have an issue, you stand up, okay? And if you're comfortable in 3 feet of water, and we can tell by the look in their eyes in the first 30 seconds, okay? If you're comfortable in 3 feet of water, then we'll take you out to 5 feet where the pressure in your ears becomes a little more of an issue, and we'll teach them about clearing their ears and how to safely relieve the pressure in their ears, which is the same pressure you'd feel in an airplane when you're descending. Same thing, same physiological process. The eustachian tube in your head is squeezing because of the pressure, and it needs to be released. But most of it's emotional, psychological, and most of the time, I would say 85% of the time, when somebody is sitting there going, I don't know if I can do this, you get them underwater for 3 minutes and they're like, this is so cool, man. I had a woman, she was sitting on the side of the pool watching her kids do this process. She had a 16-year-old and an exchange student, and the kids did it, and she's like, I don't think I could do that. And then her 10-year-old's like, Mom, can I do it? And it's like, got the 10-year-old in. By then, she was like, okay, this is ridiculous. If my 10-year-old can do this, I can do this. And it's really just a matter of getting through that part of the process. And that's why we like to do Discover Scuba with almost everybody coming through the door, because then they know and we know that they're a good candidate, because it's so much of it. There is, of course, medical implications that we have to consider too. So we do get people who have issues, medical issues, and depending on the situation, someone with extreme asthma may be nullified from being able to scuba dive, but a lot of people with asthma can scuba dive with the right, as long as we teach them the right way, and they have certain guidelines they have to go by. My brothers and Dennis brother-in-law teaches handicapped divers, wounded warriors, paraplegics, amputees, etc. So anybody, and for some reason blind people too, which I'm not sure the appeal of blind people to scuba diving.
Interesting, yeah.
But they like the weightlessness, so
Right.
hey, it's wonderful. The weightlessness is great. The weightlessness is great on anybody with chronic back problems too.
Right.
They love
Yeah.
that.
Well, I was going to say, when you said disabled people, it must give them the feeling of being fully capable.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah,
That's great.
they get a great feeling out of it, and it's like their new thing because they don't get to do everything we get
Right.
to do, and all of a sudden it's like, I can go to Cozumel and jump out and jump off the back of the boat and go look at fish. Oh, okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
Ian, if you had to describe the experience of being underwater and weightless, how would you do that? Because I've never done it. I've been snorkeling, and my co-hosts here know that I have a healthy respect for the ocean.
Yeah.
I'm terrified of the ocean.
Okay.
And I know Sarah loves the outdoors. Have you ever been snorkeling or scuba diving?
I haven't.
No?
No.
Would you?
I don't know. I
We
never
could
really
have a
thought
whole
about it.
Lydia's lunch bunch right over.
Oh my
know,
God,
right?
we totally
We
should
discover
do.
scuba.
Yes.
Let's do
Pam,
it.
would you do it?
Yeah,
Pam?
I've snorkeled, but
Yeah.
I've never. I actually have thought about scuba diving, and I'm on that unsure if I think I could do it or not. And I know it's all in my head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know it's.
We could. The
mental
best way
thing.
is to come experience it in a Discover, because then you get to see where you really are at.
Right.
You don't know until you're down there.
It's the clearing of the
Mask and all
mask
that. Yeah.
that I think that would be like,
Yeah.
how am I going to do this?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
So if you had to describe that experience to someone who has never done it or maybe will never do it,
Well, first of all, it's kind of like what's that song? It's kind of like explaining to somebody rock and roll, right? It's like, how do you explain somebody that?
Right.
But the weightlessness is very similar to being in outer space, because you are weightless. You can
never
float
been
around.
there either.
Okay. Well, that's just it.
What?
We're taking the human body into an environment it's not
Right.
designed to be
Yeah.
in. So that's why we have to be certified. But the weightlessness is like, if I want to go up, I can just kick my feet and I'm going to go up there. I want to go down, I can just look down and kick my feet and I'm going to go down there. Wow, that's really cool. Part of what you're wearing for equipment is something called a buoyancy compensator, or a BC, which is an inflatable vest where we manipulate the inflation on it. So if you want to be a little higher in the water column, you can also use a little bit of air to help you get there or help you stay there, and vice versa. If you want to go deeper in the water column, you can subtract some air and go down. And that's a component that is really, it came along in the late 60s, and it's something that has made it so we can teach these amputees, paraplegics, people with heart conditions, people with asthma, et cetera, because they have so much safety built right into their components. How do I explain it? It's just awesome. It's just awesome. I mean, there's no real words. The only thing I can do is say, come on down, give us a call, 784-7300. We'll set you up with a Discover Scuba session and let you try it for yourself. Yeah. You know, because I can sit here and blah, 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 talk you to death about it, and you're going to be like, yeah, rolling your eyes. And then this happens. A guy will come in and say, I'm going to sign my buddy up. I know he's going to love this. And the buddy is like, oh, God, that guy, he won't shut up about this scuba thing.
I don't love it.
Yeah. And then finally, 6 months later, he gets his buddy into Discover Scuba for a 90-minute session. And he's like, oh, my God, this is awesome. And it gets even more awesome when you're in a fish tank type of environment in the Caribbean and you've got thousands of brightly colored fish swimming around you and all that. It becomes really good. One of my customers just sent me a photo from Bonaire. She's down there right now in a bait ball. And a bait ball is a school of millions of fish. And if you remember in Finding Nemo, the bait ball was pointing, saying go this way and doing the arrow thing. Well, when you swim up to a bait ball, you could take your arm and put it in and all the fish will, it's the coolest thing. You can dance and all this pattern will go around you.
Wow.
And she's in the middle of the bait ball swimming and her boyfriend, husband, whatever, is videoing her swimming around doing all these dance moves and the fish are moving to her dances.
Oh, so cool.
Because there's millions of them. So it's really cool. We had an interesting experience once. We went on an instructor's dive at the end of the week, and we get down to the south end of the island, and this huge loggerhead turtle, probably the size of this table, old one, big barnacles on his back, he got right in our face. Like, what is this? And then he came over and he got right in Dennis's face, and right in Chris's face, and right in Greg's face. I'm like, what is this? We get back to shore, and it's like, yeah, it's mating season.
Oh, no.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, how you doing?
Getting real friendly.
He's so old he couldn't tell you were human. His eyes aren't so good.
Yeah. He had big eyes, too. I mean, a head the size of a small soccer ball, but his eyes, the size of the end of this cup. Unbelievable how big his eyes were.
Yeah. Ian, what's the most memorable experience you've had scuba diving?
Most memorable experience I've had scuba diving.
Like when you think back on your career, what's one that really sticks out?
One of my first checkout dives for myself was on a shark dive in St. Martin. And shark dive is a very interesting dive because, there's sharks.
Yeah.
And I was a beginner, and my mask broke. So the strap on my mask. So I was able to wear my mask by suction cupping it onto my face, and just once in a while I'd have to keep my fingers on my mask to make sure it didn't come off. Of course, on a shark dive, one of the things they teach you is you don't move your hands, because this might look like a fish to a shark. So you keep your hands in. So I'm swimming along like this with my finger on my mask to hold it in place. And that was pretty memorable. On a shark dive, they make sure that you wear full-length clothing because they don't want any skin exposed other than your hands. And you, if the shark comes towards you, you exhale bubbles. They don't like the sound of your bubbles. They don't like the smell of the neoprene, and a shark's olfactory system is much like Lydia's. They can smell a million different frequencies of smell, so they know I'm not going to bite through that rubber to get to that skin, to get to that flesh.
I'd like to know more about the process of going to Bonaire.
Most of our students take the class with us here in the wintertime, and then they go to Bonaire. Bonaire is, like I said, about 75 miles off the coast of Venezuela. We've been going there for 22 years. The government and the Tourism Bureau of Bonaire recognized us as tourism ambassadors 15 years ago.
Oh, wow.
And so we get a medallion every couple of years saying, oh, you brought this many people to Bonaire. Bonaire is a very small island. The population is 15,000. It's all 2-lane roads, there's no highways, there's no stop signs, there's no nothing. And if you're not a scuba diver, a windsurfer, or a kiteboarder, chances are you're going to be bored there, because that's what there is to do there. Now, Aruba is at Sister Island right next door. Aruba is Vegas, baby. Discos, casinos, nightlife,
Lots to
party
do.
till dawn, sit on the beach with a hangover type of place. This is not the Jimmy Buffett experience on Bonaire. Bonaire is, most scuba divers are up and on a boat or on a dive site by 8 o'clock in the morning on vacation.
Yeah.
Okay. So the process, simply take all your pool and classroom work here in Maine, and then we head down to Bonaire. We jump on an airplane. Like I said, the first group this next week is probably 8 people leaving on Saturday, and then there's another 12 coming the following Saturday, and then we've got a fistful in April as well. But we take you down there. We're your tour guides. You're diving with our group. So you're, like next week, we'll have 7 students and 3 instructors. So it's almost 2 to 1, which is a good ratio. And these are all people that we've already taught, and we're pretty comfortable with their skill set,
Right.
Which is important. But we are there. We are there to help you. We are there to hold your hand when things, get challenging or difficult, and that's what we want to be. We're not Navy. We're not teaching you in the Navy SEAL type of approach.
Right.
We're teaching you to be a recreational diver and enjoy going down there and seeing the fish, and going down there and.
So it's a great way for people to kind of go on vacation with their instructors so
Yes.
that they can go on vacation on their own and be comfortable.
That's right.
At
And
some point
a
with
lot
it,
of our
yeah.
customers come back year after year, and then many of them go elsewhere and then come back and report to us, yeah, I went to this island and I saw this and that, and they're now confident and
Right.
competent enough to be able to go out on their own and be able to dive somewhere else and not have to have their hand held because
Right.
Yeah.
they went through this process with us, and that's
Cool.
we take a lot of pride in that. We love to teach. We love to turn people on to this stuff,
Yeah.
including the lunch bunch for their Discover School.
I want to swim with sharks.
I do not want to swim with sharks.
wanna
I'm
swim
okay
with
with
sharks.
not swimming with sharks.
Just FYI, Bonaire is too warm for sharks. There's
No sharks in
there's
Bonaire.
There's very few, only occasional sighting of a shark. Plenty of stingrays, plenty of other cool stuff to see.
Mm-hmm.
Some big menacing looking things that won't hurt you, but they look menacing.
Yeah.
Tarpon and whatnot. But overall, it's a laid back place to go and a laid back place to be underwater. And the way that island is laid out, there's 52 shore accessible dive sites around the perimeter of the island. So you don't have to get on a boat. You don't have to charter. You don't have to be paying for that. You simply pull off to the side of the road. There's a marker, and you walk into the water.
Wow. That's so cool.
Yeah. Which is unique because very few, if you go to the South Pacific, if you go to the Great Barrier Reef, you're probably getting on a boat 90 minutes every morning just to get to where you're going to dive. So that cuts into your
Yeah.
vacation time. And in Bonaire, one of the reasons we get 2 to 3 dives in a morning, and then you get the afternoon to sit on the beach, or, and this is the other business I own, is Windsurfing Maine, go windsurfing, and so in the afternoon, that's where I am. I'm over on the windsurfing cove.
Do you like both equally, or do you have a favorite?
No, they're two totally
different.
different things. It's like, do I like which one of my dogs do I like better,
Right.
Yeah.
Windsurfing is something I've been teaching for about 25 years, and I love turning people on to that. And it's just nice to be able to cruise across the water and let the breeze do all the work.
Yeah.
Ian loves adventure.
I know, right?
Right.
See, now that seems like something I would rather do.
Windsurfing.
Yeah. I paddleboard a lot.
So Windsurfing Maine, the windsurfing school is on Lake Androscoggin, North Leeds. We teach from April to November roughly, and if you need a wetsuit, we've got plenty of wetsuits in the inventory to rent you. A windsurfing lesson is a 2-day lesson. The first day you come, we put you on the simulator and teach you everything you need to know onshore. Then we get you out on the water, And usually most students are independent in about 90 minutes, at least independent enough to set them loose. And some days when I have a lot of students, I'm in the boat the whole time, chasing back and forth, helping them out. And on other days, I'm on a board riding with you, just depending on the situation.
Yeah.
But windsurfing, what's very specific about windsurfing is what are you using for equipment? Because the stature of the person that's surfing requires that. The height, the weight, the athletic skill. If you have something too big for you, you're not going to be able to learn it. And that's the biggest story you always hear is, oh, I tried that once and I almost killed myself. And it's because they just grabbed something that their brother-in-law had sitting at the beach there. Oh, I'm going to try that. It's like, no. An hour on the simulator and, like I said, another half an hour in the shallow water simulation, and then I set you loose. And most people are having a blast in no time. So that's another lunch bunch excursion.
Yay!
Oh boy.
I like excursions. I've been to your sail loft. I didn't realize that was yours on Androscoggin Lake.
Yes.
Yeah, I did a moonrise paddleboarding.
Oh, paddleboard. That's right. With
Mike LaLiberty.
Liberty. That's right.
Yeah,
yes.
that was beautiful. What a beautiful lake.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm also a member of the Lake Association and sit on a couple of the committees with the Lake Association, and we work really hard to keep that lake healthy, which is hard because it has a hydrology common to only like 5 lakes in the world. And so it's really rare what this lake goes through, and so we're trying desperately to change that. And it's going to cost us a couple $1 million to get the right automation in place so that the water levels can be healthily controlled.
Yeah. It's beautiful, though.
Yeah.
Ian, what are some of the biggest advancements in scuba diving equipment that you've seen in your career?
Well, one thing is wetsuits are not what wetsuits used to be. There was a time, not very long ago in the 80s where the average person wearing a wetsuit might take Pam cooking spray and cover their body first before trying to put it on. No, literally, this is something I get these old timers. What? You got any baby powder? You got any cooking spray? I got to put my wetsuit on. And it's like, you don't need that anymore. The polymers, the blends of neoprene and polymers that they're using now make it so it's gummy bear stretchy. So you get into that suit and it slides on and slides off, 10 times easier than it did a couple decades ago. Then it forms to your body better. So you don't have to wear quite as thick a wetsuit to achieve the same amount of warmth because it fits you so well. Those are things, and I get, like I had one last night. Old diver dove back in the 70s and 80s, and it's like, what? You don't need to, it's like, no, you don't need to put all that stuff on. All you got to do is slide in it and slide out.
Right on.
So that changed. Regulators, the breathing apparatus, they've just gotten better. Many of them have self-tune now. So as anything goes down through the water column, deeper in the water, any mechanisms, the ambient pressure makes it work harder. If you ever watched a submarine movie, you know what I'm talking about. All of a sudden, everything starts acting up when they get down deep because every bushing, every spring, any moving parts in any mechanism works harder at depth. And that's true of all your breathing apparatus as well. So the breathing apparatuses that nowadays are, at least the more expensive ones, are made so that they manually tune themselves as they go down through the water column, and then as they're coming back up, they're tuning back to the original setting. Which is cool. Computer technology is huge. Okay, now when a diver is underwater, and I won't geek you out too much here, but when a diver's underwater, we need to keep track of how deep we are, how long we were that deep, and of course how much air we have. But how deep we are and how long we're that deep is important during that dive, and then later on at the surface, and then later on another dive. All those numbers become very important. And of course, originally, what we teach in class, you're going to sit there in a logbook and go, okay, I went to 27 feet today for 40 minutes. And then there's a whole a chart that tells you, okay, now you have to wait so many minutes to go back in the water. Once you do, you have a limitation of going this deep for this long, etc. Well, then you get people like me who are spoiled now, and I have this fancy computer that does all that thinking for me and uploads it to my phone, so I don't even have to think about this stuff, you know. Yeah. But that's one of the nice advances is everyone still learns the basics of calculating their dive table, but once you've learned the dive table, then if you want to buy a computer and have the computer do that work for you, so that's a big advancement.
Yeah. Wow, good stuff.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I could talk to you all morning.
Yeah.
Locally owned and locally focused, Lydia Media celebrates the heart of the greater Lewiston-Auburn area through 2 magazines, Uncle Andy's Digest and LA Metro Magazine, and the new Lydia's Lunch Bunch podcast. Each production shines a positive light on local businesses, nonprofits, events, and individuals making a difference in our community. Keep your advertising dollars local and position your business in front of your target audience with Lydia Media. Learn more at lydiamediallc.com. You're a musician too, right?
Yeah, I'm a musician too, yeah.
Is there an instrument you don't play?
Instrument I don't play? I suck at the drums. I actually started on the drums, and I was just terrible, and I was like, I can't do this. And I probably, decades later now, I should probably try them again and see. You know.
I feel like the bagpipes would be difficult.
Bagpipes are the hardest instrument to play, period. If you take a ukulele and tune it up and put your fingers here or there, it's going to sound pretty. Mm-hmm. If you take a piano and put your hand down like this, if it's in tune, it's going to sound pretty. That's true of almost any instrument. The violin, when a kid's first dragging that bow across the string, okay, that might be hell on earth. But the bagpipes are physically a nightmare at first because you're trying to squeeze and blow and you literally are achieving an equal amount of PSI whether you're blowing or squeezing. That's the whole process. And then, oh, by the way, now you got to do this while you're doing it. And it's an infinite sustain musical instrument, which means that reed in the chanter, the melody, and the 3 reeds that are in the drones never stop. So it's like, wait a minute, how do I put space in the music? There's no such thing as a rest, okay? So we actually are learning percussion with our fingers to add the space within the music so that you can tell the difference in a melody. Wow.
Yeah, it's...
And I'm available for your funeral. And if you book your funeral a year in advance, I'll give you half off.
Oh, man.
Wow.
That's pretty cool.
No, actually,
deal.
That's one of the most rewarding gigs out there is playing funerals, which, and I've done some in 30 degrees in November. Yeah. It's like, okay, this is not fun. Mm-hmm. But it's usually, if you're out in a graveyard or at the church and you just play and the people are so appreciative.
It is a very somber sounding instrument.
It is. It is.
Have you ever seen Dirty McCurdy play?
No.
We
highly recommend.
Yeah, we have the pipes are part of the rock and roll show too, which the rock and roll pipe it.
Yeah.
They're fun. They put on a show.
We put on a show. Yeah, we like to get down and put on a show.
What are you playing in the band?
What am I playing in the band? Really?
All the things.
I'm your utility infielder is what I am. Okay, I'm your lead vocalist, but frontman, but bagpipes, guitar, acoustic guitar, electric guitar, whatever, harmonica, saxophone, all your keyboard stuff, all your piano, all that stuff. Wow. That's my job.
All that.
And then we have another multi-instrumentalist, and Rich, he plays violin, banjo, mandolin, and of course he's a lead guitarist, so that's his primary job. But all of a sudden, 1 minute I'm the lead guitarist and he's a mandolin player, whatever. Dirty McCurdy is coming up on their 30th anniversary. Now, keeping a band together for 30 years is kind of like keeping a dog that's out in traffic from getting killed. Yeah. Okay, it's not very easy. Okay?
It's quite the analogy.
Well, they make a lot of noise, but they don't last too long. That's the saying. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
But this band has been together. I think we're at 28 years right now. Scott McCurdy started this band back in 90-something. I have to do the math. And we're starting a story. We're starting to document a diary of all the stories the things that have happened to us on the road, because it's like, it's pretty wild when you think of it. I mean, it's not all sex and drugs and rock and roll. Yeah. It's like, you know, something that happened at 3 o'clock in the morning at a convenience store or whatever. You'd say, oh my God, these things happen to people, happen to bands on the road. And it's just, we had to document this. My mother told me when I was young, because I started playing in bars. I started playing in bars before I was old enough to drink, which was a real convenient way of drinking. But my mother said, you should keep a diary of everything that happens on the road, and she was right.
Yeah.
So Dirty McCurdy has started posting with our weekly email broadcast. We posted a little chapter about something that happened here or there and why. You know,
too cool.
We changed the names to protect the innocent,
Of course,
and even more guilty.
Ian, we like to close out the show with a segment called 3 Random Questions.
Okay.
Where we ask you, get this.
Okay.
3 random questions.
Imagine.
Yeah. So we're very literal here.
Yeah.
Ian, if you could do a guest set with any band from the past or present, who would it be?
Zeppelin.
He didn't even think about it.
Yeah, no doubt. Zeppelin.
Give us a couple of songs that you would play with them.
What is and what should never be. Of course, some of these songs are songs that McCurdy's do. Probably Whole Lot of Love. You know, something with a real extended jam in it. You know, to really, because they were very, they'd be structured. Zeppelin would be structured 1 minute and then totally throw out the structure and say, okay, no arrangement here, we're just jamming.
Yeah.
And then come back into the structure again. And that's beautiful. I love that stuff. A really tight band that can all of a sudden go, okay, this section's loose. And then now we're going back to
bring
tight.
it back.
Okay.
Very cool.
There we go.
You seem like you know how to do a lot of things.
You're going to take my question.
I am?
No, I don't know.
Oh, I was
Assuming,
going to ask, if you could learn how to do one thing perfectly instantly, what would it be?
Instantly?
Like all of a sudden your brain just like booped and you could do this thing perfectly instantly, what would it be?
I'm a really bad kiteboarder. I know how to kiteboard. I've taken lessons. I have some equipment, but the learning curve is straight up. It's very much a gifted young athlete type of sport, and I know that when those guys launch and they go flying through the air, that thrill, that would be a total thrill to me. I'm not there by any chance, and if I could find a hack and a shortcut to get there, I'd love to. So that's one right there, and then that's adventurous, and you're, like I said, you're flying through the air, which is kind of like floating underwater. You know,
It was kind of the same, so I'm going to change it up.
Okay.
That's okay. What is the strangest food you've eaten?
Strangest food I've eaten. Boy, I don't know. I mean, I make some pretty strange food myself. Well, I make a spaghetti western. Now, what you do is you take last night's spaghetti and you basically make a western omelet with spaghetti in it. Okay, which is great for carbs. I used to make it for my son when they had like a 5 a.m. hockey practice. It's like, okay, you need some carbs before hockey practice, and that was a good one for that. Mashed potato pancakes is another one.
Ooh, I love those.
Okay, so not potato pancakes, mashed potato pancakes. So you take your leftover mashed potatoes, eggs, whip it all up, throw a few ingredients in there. When
Bacon and green onions.
Yeah, when they rise just right, or scallions. When they rise just right, it's awesome.
All right. Ian, where can folks go online to learn more about Skindivers Paradise?
Skindivers Paradise, www.skindiversparadise.net, or you can email skindiversparadise@outlook.com, where it's 207-784-7300. I answer the phone just about all the time, except for right now. No, I could if I had to answer right now, which, inevitably, I'm always answering the phone at 9 o'clock at night or 6 o'clock in the morning because somebody needs something, but that's okay. Right. We're good with that.
Yeah, good stuff. It's been a pleasure having you in.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much. He is Ian Barclay, owner of Barclay's Skindivers Paradise. Thanks to our sponsors, Ruper's Beverage and Redemption and United Piping. And if you'd like to be part of the Lydia's Lunch Bunch advertising family, reach out to Pam via email at pam@lydiamediallc.com.
Hey, Mark.
Yeah.
Did you know that Bigfoot claims he once saw Chuck Norris?
What? Are you serious?
Yeah. Yep. Did you know that Chuck Norris can make a slinky go upstairs?
What?
That's true. Did
Wow.
you know that Chuck Norris can sit in the corner of a round room?
Did you know that Chuck Norris once ate a Rubik's Cube and pooped it out? Solved.
Wow.
Yeah. That
Did
happened.
you know it only takes Chuck Norris 20 minutes to watch 60 Minutes?
Oh, man.
I know.
That is impressive.
I know.
Did you know that Chuck Norris starred in all of the Star Wars movies?
No.
Yeah, he was the Force.
He was the Force. Hey, Ian,
Yes.
did you know that Chuck Norris once won an underwater breathing contest with a fish?
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. It's pretty cool, right?
Impressive.
That is impressive.
Great. All right. Did you know that Chuck Norris lost his virginity before his father did?
Oh, jeez. Who is writing these?
Probably Chuck Norris.
The Great Wall of China was created to keep Chuck Norris out. It didn't work.
Did you know that Chuck Norris sleeps with a pillow under his gun?
Chuck Norris narrates Morgan Freeman's life.
Did you know that a bulletproof vest wears Chuck Norris for protection?
This is great.
Chuck Norris refers to himself in the fourth person. Have a great day, and remember, don't bite your cat.